Howdy again, it's Mr. Pete, your octogenarian YouTube shop teacher. Thanks for joining me, and this is tips number 778. And I know sometimes I make videos that have a little interest to people, but I have a passion for it, so that's why I'm making another video on calipers. And there was several other recent ones, and I'll put an image on the screen if anyone would want to see that. But I want to talk today about STARRETT calipers, and I have a lot of them, and I have more than what you see here and more than I would ever need, but I just find beauty in these tools, and that's why I want to talk about them. And I hope that some of you are interested and will enjoy this. So let's get started. I was always mesmerized by the Motor Trend Car of the Year award. The caliper, gold-plated. When I was at the Chicago Auto Show one time, they had one of these, and it was in a display case. And I put my nose right against the case, and yes, it was a STARRETT, gold-plated. Well, most of these calipers right here and dividers are STARRETTs in this area here. Up here we got some other brands, so I'm going to put those away. But I have, again, as I said, just so many, and I got more in the drawer. We'll take a real quick glance of those. I particularly like the smaller ones. Maybe because I could get more of them in a drawer. I am a hoarder, you know, or accumulator, or collector. I'm sure some of you think I'm crazy, and I probably am. But this is where I keep the smaller ones, and you've seen those before. Different brands, but mainly STARRETT. Alright, these are strictly STARRETT that you see right here. And notice that I really do not have many inside calipers. They all tend to be outside calipers and or dividers, and I use dividers much more than I use calipers. But what I wanted to show you here, and I'm going to show you catalog pictures too, that over the years STARRETT had calipers and dividers available in 3 different styles. Maybe I'll use that word. Now they're down to 2, and I'm going to show you some old catalog pictures and some new catalog pictures here presently. But they had them in 3 price ranges. STARRETT's cheapest calipers were called Yankee style, and there's dividers as well, but I'm not showing that right now because I have them, in fact, right here. But the Yankee, and this is a Yankee, and they still make these, were the cheapest because you notice they're just stamped out of tool steel. It's all one thickness, although elegant in shape, pretty cheap to manufacture, and made in many different sizes. This one I just acquired recently, and you know, it's in terrible shape, but it's also of that Yankee pattern. And here is a dividers. Again, it's just stamped, thin, cheap, but lovely and usable. This one too. But they also sold what they call tool makers dividers and calipers. And there they are, of course, all the different sizes. And this was their medium price line, and they still make it, and let me show you what the difference is. So there was a man by the name of Charles Fay, and he manufactured these dividers and calipers in this pattern and shape, and that patent was 1885 or 1886. And if you get a hold of a real old STARRETT tool, it may say on here, Fay patent. This one does not, it's too new. These were the most expensive to manufacture because they started with square stock. Now, nobody else has ever made a video like this, I don't think. So think of the expense. Square tool steel, and then machined down here to a reduced size and tapered. Now, that would not be cheap to do. And again, made in several sizes. All of them are very similar, no matter whether it's the Yankee or the tool makers, or I'll hold one in each hand here. They're all about the same as far as the construction of the spring is concerned. Now let me show you something else that is very unique about STARRETT calipers and dividers. Most of the cheaper ones, and other brands too, in order to open them up, let's say, you're going to have to spin this, which is time consuming. Although it's not a tragedy, but Mr. Fay, Charles Fay, came up with a quick nut, which I'm going to show you now, but they said that his earlier patent was a failure, and this particular quick nut is probably a STARRETT design. But the beauty of this is, notice how it's split. You probably know this, but you can instantly move it like that and then make your fine adjustment right here. Are you aware of that? And this was an option. Almost all of their dividers and calipers were made with a solid nut or the rapid nut. I always loved that. Isn't that neat? Well, who cares? Well, just for the heck of it, put it in the comments. Do you like the Yankee, the tool makers, or the Fay patent? Now I'm going to show you some pictures in old catalogs. Now this STARRETT catalog is from 1922. Well, that means it's 99 years ago. This is 2023. This catalog's still in pretty good shape. So I want to show you briefly some of the pictures and prices. And it's easier for me to compare prices here because they printed the prices in the catalog. They didn't change every 15 minutes like they do now, where they have to use a price list that can be changed at will. Okay, this is a 99-year-old catalog, so the prices for a 6-inch outside caliper in the Yankee flat pattern was only $1.05. Amazing. Again, with a solid nut. And the 6-inch Fay pattern caliper with the solid nut was $1.95 99 years ago. And the 6-inch tool maker's caliper was the most expensive of all, with the solid nut that was $2.10. So it was 15 cents more than the Fay and double the price of the Yankee. So that's why you see so many more of the cheaper Yankees than you do of the more exclusive, expensive ones. So if the machinist was on a budget, and I'm sure they were, they probably went the cheap route. And there's a cut of the spring nut, and typically it costs 20 or 25 cents more to buy a caliper with the spring nut, rapid nut, rather than the solid nut. I'm not sure what I said before, but this is the 1924 catalog, which makes it 99 years old. This is catalog 32. I do not know what year it is, probably within 5 years, and I want to show you some of the calipers in this book. I will not have the prices, but I want to show you what is still available. Anyone watching? Now this catalog is over 600 pages thick, and there's only 3 pages on calipers, so they've really condensed all of this. And they have dropped the Fay type, and they have strictly the Yankee, and they still call it Yankee. I'll zoom in on this. And they have the tool maker's type. And here's the tool maker calipers and dividers, and they are available with the quick nut, all of them. It's not an option. And the Yankees are not available with the quick nut. Question of the day: what is this type of caliper called, or has someone beat it with a hammer in his submission and changed the design? Put it in the comments. I think I did this in another video. You know, sometimes when I make a video like this, I know it has minimal interest, but somebody told me recently in a comment that don't consider these videos to be a failure because they're not going to necessarily be popular right away, but as part of my legacy or part of my catalog of videos, so that if somebody wants to learn about calipers, they can do a search and find this, even if it's 10 years from now after I'm pushing up daisies. So this is my legacy. I don't know, but it's part of my passion, and I am sharing it with people that are interested. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. That matters more than subscribing. Thank you for watching. Have you noticed I did not run any advertisements like almost all YouTubers are doing right now? Do you like it, or would you rather see an ad on life insurance right now? So long for now. Well, it's a couple days later, and while I was editing this video, I realized I left a few things out. To start with, I was not dressed appropriately as I am now, but I failed to mention the fact that these are called spring-type calipers. They've got a bow spring up here, whereas this type of caliper, which I didn't talk about at all in this video, is called a firmer joint. So that's kind of irrelevant, but these are spring-type calipers. Now, a few more things. A little bit more about their construction. Again, this is called the fulcrum stud, and they are hardened, and this is the bowspring. Now, notice how, I'm going to move that all the way out, the diameter changes. Watch as I operate it. So these springs are quite strong. Also notice that there is a knurled knob on dividers, but not on the calipers, inside or out. I don't think I ever showed you an inside caliper. I really don't have any to speak of. I just don't ever use them. And one other thing I wanted to point out is that on these two styles of calipers, the thread here, the threaded rod, is what they call centrally located. So there's no distortion. This is a Lufkin, not that it matters, because it's similar construction, but the nuts here and the threaded rod are outboard, so there would be some tendency for the legs to want to twist a little bit. I think it's probably negligible, and I am wasting my time even telling you that, but that is an interesting part of the construction. Again, this would be so much cheaper to make than either one of these. Remember that this type is not any longer available in the catalogs. And one other thing out of the catalog that I incorrectly told you is I said that the rapid speed nut was available on this type of caliper. It is not. It clearly states that. I do not know why they put the picture there. The picture should have been down here on the Yankee type. And the Yankee type is available with either the spring nut or the solid nut. And there would be a price differential on those two. You know what? This is a bit embarrassing to show you at the very end, but I forgot all about this drawer, and there's about 6 or 7 different dividers and calipers in this drawer. Let me pull those out real quickly. I know this is too long. Okay, these are the tools I just pulled out of the drawer. In fact, these are various brands here, Brown & Sharpe, Craftsman, and Lufkin on the ends, so we really don't need to talk about those, but these are Starrett, not too much different from what you just saw here. However, this one is in the original little sheath. I don't know if that was provided with it or not, but it keeps them sharp, but it looks like it caused a little corrosion on them, doesn't it? And look at that beautiful specimen of the original Fay pattern. So I had all these tools, and I didn't even know that I had them. I feel kind of silly. Or should I feel proud? I don't know. Earlier today, my wife read something on the internet, and it had to do with the way men think, and probably women too, but I'm going to talk mainly about men. When you're young, you want things. You have a strong desire to have a car or a motorcycle or a girl. You want things, and it's a burning desire. But then as you enter middle age, you're more of a collector. You're able to afford these things and gather them and accumulate them. And then in the final stages of your life, where I am right now, you actually want to start getting rid of things and clearing it out. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and it is so true. Here's another example of how things are cheapened over the years. In this older dividers, the little protector was actually a leather sheath, metal bound. That in itself is an effort to produce. They probably bought it from a supplier, but in later years, yeah, a piece of cheap vinyl. Oh, the degradation of it all. Well, I'm still not done, and this is a bit off topic because these are drafting dividers or compasses. And in the older style, in order to adjust them, of course, you had to do this in and out, kind of tedious, I suppose. And I don't like this outboard one as much as the centrally located one. But in more recent years, and these are both made by Herlihy, they were very popular in the schools. There's two ways of adjusting it. Of course, this way, but notice how quick the action is, because in reality you can take these and open and close them in that manner. But your adjustment is relatively coarse. Now examine the coarseness of these two threads. This thread is much coarser than this, even though they're made by the same company, but look how else they cheapened it over the years, where we got all kinds of plastic components now. And these were probably made 20 or 25 years apart. Do you find that interesting? But I was always intrigued by this rapid type of screw. See if I can get a close-up. Alright, now I'm truly done. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and I didn't beat this subject to death too badly. I'll see you in the next video, I hope. So long for now.